Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to this demo session on SAP Ui5 in Fiori Training with OData. In this demo session, we will have a quick look at SAP Ui5 technology. We will talk about how we will progress our course in terms of developing an end-to-end Fiori application with the gold standards. Many of you already working on Ui5 or aspire to work on SAP Ui5, finding it little challenging at this point of time to understand all the important concepts. You would have tried learning through some internet blogs and materials, but were not successful or partially successful because there are a lot of concepts here involved which needs a deep dive. Concepts like component.js, router, route match handler, manifest JSON, XML views, SAP Web IDE, formatters, fragments, MVC architecture, and especially for ABAP developers, the concepts of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and jQuery. So these are the things which are quite important for us to learn step by step so that we can become an efficient UI5 developer which can deliver a quality solution to our company. Together with that, there are a lot of important guidelines which we need to keep it in mind while we are coding. Some of you either working only on the front end, which is building a UI application. Some of you only working right now on the OData services, which is building the required services to be exposed for the Fiori apps. But you are lagging in the knowledge of end-to-end. This whole training, we will be covering in detail about end-to-end development, guys. In this end-to-end development, we will majorly focus on the gold standard way of developing an application which can fulfill the compliance, bare minimum compliance to deliver an app, and a development flow starting from HTML5 till the end of deploying a finished product or finished SAP Fiori application in our gateway system. So that will be the main goal of this course. You would have already seen lots of YouTube demo videos on my channel about Ui5 in Fiori. Some of those demo videos are pretty advanced, which you may not be able to understand at this point until you complete this course. The main idea of this course will be no copy paste. Most of the time you see a lot of trainers on the internet, they just do copy paste of code. This way they will escape away from their responsibility of giving you the right knowledge, the right steps and guidelines to develop a good application. And that is what is little challenging these days. When I was personally learning SAP Ui5 long back, I found it pretty difficult because most of the trainers which I could find were just doing copy paste. So if I get to know what is the development tool, I can myself copy paste the code and develop an app. There are thousands of blogs on the internet. I can reuse them and build an application. That won't suffice me to become an expert. And that was the reason I had planned myself a Ui5 training to make you guys understand or make you guys not feel the same the way I felt when I started Ui5. In this course, it's a promise and commitment from my side that we will not be doing any copy paste of code. Rather, we will be writing every single line of code. And that is the major differentiating factor you would find between myself and other trainers. We will not do any copy paste of code, and I personally not recommend anybody to do any copy paste of code. Once you understand the concepts, please do copy paste to speed up your development. Until you understand every meaning, every single line, we will not be doing a copy paste of code. Awesome. With that, let's proceed with the course flow. What is that we will be covering? This course is divided into 4 phases. The first phase is called Basic Foundation for Ui5, which includes HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, and jQuery. Remember, many of you coming from ABAP background, portal background, BO, BI, or some other background. Maybe you could be a functional consultant. You can also learn SAP UI5. Yes, there is zero prerequisite to learn this course. Zero prerequisite to learn this course. Reason being, we will cover this basic foundation as part of the course itself, which includes HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, and jQuery. The second myth around the developers or the panic factor is, Anubhav, I've been working in ABAP since last 10 years and now I don't want to switch myself to Java technology. Guys, please understand, it's just a word called Java. It has nothing to do with Java. Here we will be using a client-side programming language called JavaScript. So JavaScript and Java are two completely different programming paradigms. Their purpose, their need, their usage, and the way they behave is different. JavaScript is easy than Java, and there is zero prerequisite as Java for this course. In fact, there is no prerequisite to learn this course at all. We will cover JavaScript in detail to make you understand the bare minimum required JavaScript and make you equipped with the JavaScript so that you can further start your programming in JavaScript using controllers. In the next phase of the course, we will talk about SAP UI5 framework and controls, where we will discuss about the architecture of SAP Ui5 application, which we use is so-called MVC, Model View Controller Architecture. In the models, we have variety of models like JSON, XML, resource, and OData. In the views, we have types of views as JSON, HTML, XML, and JavaScript views. We'll cover all of them. Our major focus will be on XML views because that's the industry standard. With that, it brings me to the question also, what is the difference between XML and JavaScript view? Why we prefer to use XML views over JavaScript view? So all these kind of questions which are there in your mind since many days or months or years, and nobody was able to answer these questions till today. And there are many myths around you. Somebody come to your desk and give you something, and you are unable to understand, you are unable to connect those pieces properly because there is a lot of mixed information available around you, a lot of wrong information around you, a lot of changes happening in the technology which are not reaching to you in the right way. A lot of people referring to the old documentation. So all these myths, all these problems, they all will be solved. Towards the end of this course, you will be very much comfortable with these things. And then we will start developing UI5 application, understanding the important concepts like fragments, formatters, scaffolding template, EMD-like syntax for asynchronous loading of modules, dependencies, Ui5 SDK for development, and the technological advancement with Ui5. Then in the third phase, we'll start with Fiori introduction and app development with Fiori. So basically Fiori would be more like guidelines to develop these application. So Ui5 is the technology and Fiori is the guideline, design guidelines by which you will get a coherent look and feel. You get a look as if SAP standard Fiori application. So that's the whole idea of Fiori. We will learn about libraries used in SAP Fiori like sap.m, sap.ui.layout, and we will build a couple of variety of application like master detail, work list. These are the kind of apps we will be creating and building in the third phase of our course. Together with that, the most interesting concepts like component.js, manifest, router, all these concepts will be covered in detail in this training. Then the last phase is not just batting, guys. You will also learn bowling. So like if you want to become an all-rounder, you should do both batting and bowling. So the first is the batting part where we most of the time we learn batting, like building a Fiori application, and then we'll move to the backend part, building the OData service. What if you want to expose data persisted in your ERP system or in a S4HANA system in the Mara table and expose it out to a Fiori application? So how do you do that? You cannot call BAPI from Fiori directly. Not possible. You have to call an OData service. So we will create OData services. Those who don't know ABAP, I also have a magic stick for you. It's called service generation technique. We will also cover that as well in the course. So here your ABAP knowledge will be used to build OData services. However, those who don't know ABAP, don't panic. We will also cover techniques like service generation, which will help you to build the OData service without much know-how of ABAP programming. So that's the ultimate flow for the entire course, divided in 4 phases. Each phase is about 10 hours, and totally we will be completing this in 40 hours. So that is the plan. Together with that, what else you get? You get a complimentary object-oriented ABAP sessions that is also available as part of this training. So you will get all of that complimentary OOPS ABAP sessions plus complimentary interview questions. However, when the topic comes, for each topic I will discuss interview questions and certification questions which are necessary for you to understand, and I will also phrase you the answers properly so that you guys can crack any interview. There are many success stories around my trainings. I will also share those stories in a minute with you. So just to give you a brief overview of how people have reacted and how people have demonstrated an extremely amazing behavior after completing these courses. You can see a few weeks back, I had 2 interviews scheduled on UI5 role. I'm happy to share that I cracked both the interviews successfully, and both of them, and he has mentioned the company names also. So that's the beauty, guys. After completing the course, many of you are able to crack multiple offers. So you see, there are many candidates who have attended this training, and they have now multiple offers in their hand, and they feel very confident about overall development strategy and the technology. You can see there are a lot of other good feedback. So today I'm writing this email to say thank you for changing my life. I opted for your UI5 course 4 months ago. I worked hard and finally landed into a good job as a SAP Fiori consultant. So you can see there are a lot of these success stories which I receive almost every day, guys. So you can see a lot of them. They keep sending email to me, and this is the real thing which is another one I have selected for ENY, Accenture, and for Fiori model. See, people are having 2 offers, 3 offers, 4 offers in their hand. Every single interview they are attending, they are able to crack it actually. So you see, lot of these things. See, so that's the success story, guys. This is the past success story, and I'm sure many of you, as part of this batch, will definitely repeat all these success stories once again. And I want to see equal amount of passion. Anubhav have come to industry to not just teach but to mentor. My main intention was to come in the training industry was by choice, not by force. I did not become a trainer by force, because many of the time you see a lot of people, they struggle so hard to get into a job, they don't get a job, and finally they land to become a trainer. So that's a very unfortunate situation. Many of you have seen corporate trainers. They just come to the company, they run through these 300 500 pages of PDF that doesn't even show anything in the system, and they just run away. And still, unfortunately, you got to give 5-star rating to such trainers. So this is very unfortunate in training industry, and I've been experiencing this since many years, and I decided to change this. So I came to the training industry not by force but by choice, because I love coding, and I'm sure those who learn coding, they will definitely be able to also make it. So you can see a lot of people after learning, they are also started teaching their company people. Yeah, you see, I have enabled more than 100 participants in my organization to be capable working in such areas. So this is one of my student, and he has attended my training, and then he enabled other 100 people and delivered a very good training in his company, and because of that he also got promotions in his company. So like this, there are many success stories, guys, and it's always, I'm glad to share these stories with all of you. And you can see the kind of emails which I receive, and I'm sure many of you would also be exactly demonstrating these kind of success stories. With that, let's move on quickly to the demo session. So what we will be doing, guys, we will be creating in this demo session a very small Fiori application. And this application is not going to be a kind of a rocket science. It's going to be just very simple button we will be placing, and we will be just clicking on the button and saying, just printing hello world probably. So when you start developing any application in any programming language, what are all the steps you start with? The first step, you should have to set up your development environment. Those who come from SAP background, you all know that SAP GUI is our development environment, and there are transaction code like SE80, SE38, SE37, ABAP Workbench, which is our development environment where we go and start writing the codes. Similarly here for SAP Fiori, we have two major development environments. One is SAP Web IDE, full stack, which is actually available in the cloud as a service, which means you don't have to install anything in your local computer. You can directly open this, launch this in a browser and start developing, start working with it. The second version is SAP Web IDE Personal Edition, which is actually a local installation to our system. That's what this SAP Web IDE Personal Edition is. So we will be learning both of them as part of this course. Our major focus will be using Web IDE full stack to develop a Fiori application. So that's our development environment. I will make you understand both of them, their advantages and disadvantages. More or less, both the development environments are same. The way you use them, the way you develop them, just like you write code, ABAP code in SE38 or SE80. The actual code which you're writing is the same. It's just the development environment is different. So we'll be covering that in detail in our first session starting tomorrow, starting Monday. And the next is after you do that, you have to do initialization of project, and then you will start writing the code. When it comes to the code, there are certain steps which you do. The first step which you do is initialization of variables, right? This is the topmost thing which you do in a typical application. You will load all the dependencies. Like taking a very simple example, in C programming, we are all aware of C programming. We used to do include studio.h, right? This is what we used to do. What it does, it basically loading some dependency, basically loading a library of C which gives you certain functions, like scanf function was part of it. So that's what we will be doing, loading of dependencies. We will be initializing our variables, loading of dependencies. Then in the next step, we will be declaring screen elements. If there is any screen, guys, there is any UI, we will be declaring the UI elements. We will be placing the UI elements on the UI. After creating them, we will place them on the UI. And then finally, we will write some code, which is actually your application logic. For example, I click on a button, what should happen? That's my application logic. After doing that, you would write some cleanup code. When your application stops, what you got to do, you do some cleanup. Apart from that, there are a little bit more optional things which you would do, like database lookup. You would send a message to some system. You would do some integrations. You would send receive data from interface. You will just reuse some piece of code, reuse some libraries, reuse some functions, declare your variables, manipulate the data. So all these things you will be doing. So that's the typical flow of any program which you write. In any programming language you take it, it's more of a generic way of doing it. Similarly, when you create an application here in SAP Fiori, we will also follow the same steps. Some of these steps we will see it in this demo session, and majority of the other steps we will also look at in the upcoming classes as and when we progress our course. Remember guys, it's a 40 hours of module. We cannot cover everything in just demo session, but yes, the idea is to make you understand my training methodology, the flow in which the training goes, the right direction, and most importantly, you need to have the faith in me that yes, Anubhav is the right trainer for us. I would personally recommend all of you to try out all the trainers available, explore them, take their demo session, look at the quality, check if what they're promising, are they really able to deliver it. There are many trainers who call themselves as trainer, but are they really able to deliver the quality? So you can go to my YouTube channel and you can see the kind of number of videos which I posted on the YouTube, the kind of learning university which I have on YouTube. It's huge. because I have the right knowledge which I can give it to you, which you really need it today to survive. And it's not a question of performing, it's a question of survival today, actually, for most of you, because you are already seeing a shift in the industry, change in the technology, and your ABAP work or your BO, BI, BW work is, portal work is no more relevant. You have to switch, and before it's too late, you would like to quickly learn and start performing, placing yourself into a good project. So ask yourself, is Anubhav is the right trainer? You need to ask yourself, check my YouTube channel, find out the relevant trainers, explore them, see what they're promising. Are they able to going to deliver it or not? Do they really have the skill set to deliver these things or not? That's something you guys have to do. I have almost 54 plus demo videos on SAP, 57 videos you can see, only demo videos, 57 demo videos on SAP UI5 and Fiori on my YouTube channel. Only on this single topic of Ui5 Fiori. 28 plus demo videos and sample videos and some videos from the middle on ABAP on HANA and S4 HANA. 31 plus videos on learning series, 5 plus videos on HANA Access and native HANA development. So complete technology stack. And those who are very unclear about the direction where you should go, you can also search for a video, SAP Full Stack Developer, and you can watch my video of how to become SAP full stack developer, both as a batsman and also as a bowler. So this is an amazing video. I must recommend all of you to please go through this video. I put the link in the chat window. So that's so important for all of you to also understand. With that, let's quickly move on. So here we are now, our development environment. So I'll switch to this. So what is this screen? Where did we got this screen from? And all of that we will cover in detail in our next chapter. So right now I will more focus on creating our first application. So let me just go to the services and launch our SAP Web IDE full stack. That's our development environment. I will explain you in detail what is this this screen coming from, what does this screen means, how to set up Web IDE for the first time uses. All of that we'll discuss in detail. But right now, just understand, if you have a development environment, how do you get started with your first SAP Fiori project? So let it launch and then we will begin. Great. So this is our development environment, and now we go to the development section. And here you can see I have a couple of projects which I've created in the past, but now let me just create a new project. So I just right click here. And guys, as I mentioned, when you first have a development environment, step one, and now we create a new project. So I say folder, and I say my demo, click on OK. And you see my demo folder. This is your project folder. Now the file which we will add inside this is new file, and I just name this file as anubhav.html. Click on OK. You can see the file has been created. So what is an HTML file? Guys, when the browser was born in industry, the browser has its own language which browser can understand. HTML is one of such language which a browser can understand. Any browser you take it, Mozilla, Safari, Chrome, IE, Firefox, Edge, all these browsers, they all understand a common language which is so-called HTML. And the browsers doesn't need an extra stuff to understand HTML language. An HTML page is consist of two parts. One is called header and one is called body. So we'll create an HTML document. So it's a tag based language. Okay, it's not a programming language, it's a markup language, and we will discuss more in detail about HTML basics in our unit number 3, where we'll start with HTML5. So here we create an HTML document, and then it has a header and it has a body. So the golden rule here is whatever you create in the body will be visible to the users. So I'm just going to create an element here. I say hello Fiori sprints. I just save this, and now I'm just going to run this. So I just execute this. So I click on run button, and now system will launch a new session for us. There you go. You see it's launching a new session. And now you see it says Hello Fiori Aspirants. So that's our very first HTML program which we have received. I'm just probably going to run this in a different session, because I'm not a big fan of working everything in one session to make you confused. We'll have it working like in different sessions. Awesome. But now that's not really a Fiori application. A Fiori application needs some libraries which SAP provides. So what is SAP Ui5 to be very precise? So let's write down the definition of SAP Ui5. SAP Ui5 is a framework which provides reusable libraries to develop a responsive web application. Awesome. What a definition, man. So look at here these words. Framework. The first interesting word is framework. The second interesting word is responsive web application. These are two interesting words we need to focus. What is framework? A framework is a collection of libraries. What is a library? A library is a collection of classes. What is a class? Class is a collection of attributes, methods, and there are more stuff like events, aggregation. We'll discuss more in detail later. So this is how the UI5 is designed, or any framework is designed. It has something called a framework which includes libraries. So SAP Ui5 framework has lots of these libraries. What are all these libraries? These libraries helps us to build an application. They are reusable libraries. So there are some of these libraries which we use the most. So the library which we use the most is SAP.M library, so-called SAP Mobile Library. Now this library also used to have a library called, this framework used to have a library called SAP.UI.Commons. Those who started SAP Ui5 very early days, you might have heard about this library. But now, over a period of time, SAP made this library deprecated. So we will not be using that anymore. Now, similarly, there are some deprecated libraries and some are practically used. We will discuss this in our unit number 5, where we'll talk about Ui5 SDK in detail. So there are other libraries, SAP.UI.Layout library for creating the layouts. Then there is a library called SAP.UI.Table library to create tables. And now there are some libraries like they're called core libraries. So there is something called SAP.UI.Core library. This is a common library used across to build any kind of application. Then we have something called SAP.UI.Unified library. So likewise, we have lots of different libraries as part of this framework. We reuse these libraries and then we create our UI. We create our user interface for the end user. So guys, remember, it's a UI technology. It's a UI framework. So it will basically help you to create a screen. What you used to do in WebDintro, what you used to do in BSP, what you used to do in dialog programming is now what is turning into be the UI5. This is going to be your new front end. That's why it's so important for anyone to learn UI5. You are in S4HANA project, you are on S4 project, you are on Suite on HANA project or ECC, or you're seeing a change, or you're on a pure cloud-based projects. Every project needs UI5 these days. So that's the main idea, and that's why it's so important that we all learn SAP Ui5. Now if you see these libraries, so these are libraries, and each library now has classes. As I mentioned, a library is a collection of classes. So there's a class called button class inside, and in this button class you have then attributes, you have methods for button, etc. All these things will be there. So this library SAPM has one of the class called button class. If I want to create a button on the UI, I would use the button class. So that's how exactly these libraries are constructed. So each library has collection of classes. Each class has collection of methods, attributes, aggregation, compositions, as well as events. We'll discuss more about it in detail. So in a broad view, this is how it looks like. Now, The next important thing is what it is used for. It is used to build a responsive web application, which means an application which can run in all kind of devices. Guys, this is a world of mobile devices. People don't want to use your application and no more in desktops. They would use the apps either in tablets, or they would use these apps either in the mobile devices. So that's the main idea here. So a responsive web application is an application which can support all desktop, tablet and mobile. Basically, you write one single code which adapts itself according to the device automatically. That's called a responsive web application. There is a chapter called CSS where we will discuss more about this responsive web application. So now, how do we create our app? How do we use this library? How do we use this framework? So as I mentioned, in any programming language, you've got to load the dependency. So we have a dependency now on the framework, this framework. So we will be loading this framework from somewhere. So the best way to load this framework is from internet. So what you do is you will have your project. So we already started writing our project, and we'll tell the system, hey, my project, can you please load this framework from internet? And I know the address on the internet where this framework is placed. So I will ask my project to load this from internet. And this place is called CDN. Okay. What is CDN? It's called Content Distribution Network or Content Delivery Network. So there is some URL where this UI5 framework is placed, and we will be loading that here as part of our project from CDN. And this process of loading the framework from internet is called bootstrap. Just like when you start your computer first time, the process is called booting. Similarly, when you start a new project and you are loading any UI5 framework here or any loading of any resources here, it's called bootstrap. So the bootstrap syntax is we use a script tag, and then we use src, and then here we will put the address from where we want to load the resources, and then we end the script tag. That's the syntax for loading or a bootstrap to load any dependency. So that's our step number one. So let's come back to our web IDE, and here I will put a script tag, and I put src equals to, and then we'll be putting some path here, some address here from where we will be loading our SAP UI5 framework. So that address is http://sap ui5.hana.ondemand.com/resource/sap UI core.js. So that's exactly the address from where we will be loading this resource. The another interesting thing, guys, as I mentioned, it's a collection of libraries. So if you see here, there are lots of libraries in UI5. You don't want to use table, you don't want to use layout, you don't want to use unified. So do you really load these all libraries? Answer is no, because if you unnecessarily load all the libraries of the framework, then you are actually making your app non-performant. So that's the reason we also have to mention here that, hey, I just want to load only few libraries. I don't want to load everything. So that you mention is data SAP UI libs. And you mention here that I want to only load SAP M library for the moment to make sure my app is performant. Awesome. So that's the syntax, guys, we exactly use. And this piece of code is called Bootstrap. You might have seen this piece of code written in many UI5 applications, which you would have started with, but till today, probably some of you were unable to understand this. So that's exactly this Bootstrap code is. So now, how do you make sure that it has loaded properly or not? When you write this piece of code, how do you make sure where the system loaded this library? So what do you guys have to do? Just put here body and put a class called SAP UI body. Just put that class, okay? Now, what is this class means? It is not an oops class, guys. It is something called classification. We just put this. We will discuss about this more in detail in our CSS chapter. The next interesting thing, SAP UI5 also comes with theming experience. So we use data SAP UI theme parameter, and we use SAP Blue Crystal theme. There are themes like SAP Bleeze theme, High Contrast theme, SAP Dark Bleeze theme, which are newly introduced by SAP, but just to showcase you, we'll go get started with Blue Crystal theme. What is theme? Theme is like when you want to change appearance, the look and feel of the app, you can use themes. Like in Gmail, during Christmas days, you can go and use the Gmail theme. In your mobile Android phone or iPhone, you can choose a theming experience. So somebody would like to see the screens in little dark blue color. Somebody would like to see it in pinky color. Somebody would like to see it a black high contrast. So that's all managed by themes. So we also mentioned which theme we would like to load. And this whole piece of code together is called Bootstrap, initial loading of UI5. We are done. Let's come back. And earlier you were seeing that we were having a more of a white color screen. But if the UI5 framework loads properly, its theme also gets loaded, and we would see this screen will turn into a little blue color screen. Okay. If something is wrong, then it will not work. You can see it's not working. It did not turn into the blue color. So I can just quickly see what's the problem. It's saying dollar not defined. I don't know why, but let me just quickly check. I think we probably have to put here HTTPS, and this should be resources, not resource. This should be resources. And let me give it refresh now. No, still not working, which means we are missing something. So in the Bootstrap, whenever you have a problem, you would see these kind of issues. So whenever your Bootstrap in SAP UI5 has any problem, okay, you would see this kind of issues will come up very often. This is very often. Somebody does a mistake in the Bootstrap, and then it will create a problem actually. So we need to, how do we solve this? So the SAP has also given a very good documentation, and this documentation is known to be SAP Ui5 Sdk. So we will be discussing in SAP Ui5 Sdk more in detail in upcoming days. Okay, but let's quickly first fix this problem. Okay, let me just check what could be wrong here. So I think we can just try again. HTTPS sapui5.hana.ondemand.com. This looks okay. Let SAP UI libs. Yeah, this looks okay. Let me give it a try. Refresh. Press F12. You see, it's giving me some dollar problem. Maybe then what I need to do is I will first check the documentation of SAP UI5, and that's available in so-called SAP UI5 SDK. So we go there. And now here we will find the Ui5 SDK here, where we can now go and check the documentation. So here in this documentation, this is the latest and greatest documentation on entire SAP Ui5, where we can go and find out these details. So in this only we will find the code for Bootstrap, which we can also compare quickly with our code. But important is to not copy paste any code. Whether your output come or doesn't come, we will never copy paste the code. We will always write every single line, understanding the meaning of every line, and then accordingly coding it. Okay, that will be our main goal, guys. So let's let it load. Yeah, it is loaded, and now go to documentation, and I search for Bootstrap. There you go. And here in the Bootstrap, we can see content delivery network Bootstrap variant. I want to see that variant for bootstrapping from content delivery network. That's more important. And now you see here HTTPS sapui.hana.ondemand.com, resources SAP UI Core.js, data SAP UI theme, data SAP UI lib. Maybe we'll try with the Bleeze theme. I'm just going to come back and we just try with the Bleeze theme, BELIZE theme. And let me also quickly check if the URL is correct. HTTPS sapui5.hana.ondemand.com, resources SAP Core.js. This looks good. Bleeze theme, data SAP UI lib, SAP UI theme. Yeah, and there's an ID also, which we maybe, but I think that ID doesn't matter. Let me come back and refresh. Just re-execute it from here. And just check. Yes. Yes, guys, I think it's loading now. And I can also show you quickly, go to sources, and you would see here that SAP UI5 resources has been loaded, you see. So you can press F12 on the browser and you can go here to this developer toolbar where you can go and check that resources have been loaded or not. It has been loaded successfully. So now it's time that we go ahead and create our first button on the UI. So what I will do is I'll remove this aspirant thing and I just put a div element. Div stands for division tag, and I give an ID called Anubhav for this. That's it. And now what I'm going to do is I will be just going ahead and creating a button control. So come to the header, put a script, and I will be now using this library which I've loaded, SAPM, to create a button on the UI. Let's do that. So we'll come and we'll say, hey, please create a variable button new sap.m library, and it has a button class inside. Please create a button for me. And now inside this button, please give a text for the button as Spider-Man. So I have created a Spider-Man button on the UI. But as I mentioned earlier, the button won't be visible to the user until you place the button in the body. So this is the body of HTML. How do you place this button on the body? We use a method of this class. So now you see this is an object of a class which I created, which is a button class. And this object has methods, attributes, properties. So I use this button as a place at method. Now you may be confused about how do you know that there is a place at method. I will discuss this in detail in upcoming class where we'll talk about control hierarchy. All right, there you will understand why this method, what is the name of this method, how do I know that. So we'll discuss that. So now I'll say, hey, please place my button in the Anubhav element, and you can see this Anubhav element is here where it will be placing the button. Click on save. We are done. Let's come back and refresh the page, and you would see a nice button must load on the UI. So it takes a little bit of time to refresh. Let me just click on right click, say run. Let's try to run that again. And there you go. You can see, guys, a button Spider-Man is now visible on the UI. Awesome. So now when I click on the button, nothing is happening because we have not supported any programming yet for the button. So the programming for these elements will be done based on events. So when you click, there's an event which triggers, and there has to be an event handler method which should get called when you click on the button. So for that, I will quickly go, and the event name here is press, and I'll just put a function here, and I'll say, hey, whenever this button is pressed, whenever the button is clicked, you got to trigger this code. And now here I use just an alert statement to say welcome to SAP UI5. So that's what we have done. So very simple example, guys. We have used the library. In that library there is a class, and we created an object of the class. While creating the object, we use the constructor properties and event. The property name is text and event name is press. Now another question which may come, Anubhav, how do you know there is a text property? How do you know there is a press event? So all of this we will discuss in our Ui5 Sdk chapter. You can easily find out which library has which are all controls, and each control has what properties, methods, and events. All of that, line by line, step by step, we will discuss in our course in detail. And then finally we place the button into the body. As a result of that, the button appears on the UI. I'm just going to come back and refresh. So now since we added the button, and now you see this is the button, I click on the button and it should now reload the code. So right now if I just go back and run it again, because it's not refreshing immediately, that's why. And now I click on the button and you see welcome to SAP UI5. It's giving me a pop-up. Yeah, so that's what our exercise was, our first exercise, our first session, where we first write every single line of code ourselves, no copy paste. We did a bootstrapping, we loaded the resources, we loaded the themes, we loaded the required details. Then we had written the body element to display something. We have then created an empty tag called div tag with an ID. Then we written some piece of code to instantiate our first object, a simple button which is part of SAP M library, and then finally placing that button on the UI. So that was about our demo session. So for more details, you have to subscribe for the course, and then as and when we progress in our course, you will learn all these things in details. But remember, we will not be doing any copy paste. So we will be building an end-to-end application as part of this training. Towards the end, you will be able to work with this application nicely, an end-to-end application which does everything for you. So we'll use WebID full stack as well as WebID personal edition to be able to develop our application. Yeah. Now, if you would like to sign up for the course, as usual, you can always contact us for the details. Our website is onlinefiorytrainings.com. You can drop us an inquiry there on onlinefiorytrainings.com and then ask for the details to sign up. And another way is also you can call us on this number, or probably you drop an email back to us. So you would have received a demo invite from Meenakshi about this session, and you can reply to her asking for enrollment. Our classes will start straight away from Monday. There is no excuse in terms of timings as well as the dates. So the dates are fixed. Starting Monday, we will start our regular classes. If you want to decide, please decide it early so that you don't miss any class. Okay, with that, I'm done with the demo session, and this video will also be exclusively available on YouTube after 3 hours, so you guys can also go through that. Thank you so much for attending the demo session, and now all of you can start asking your question. Your lines are currently muted. You can unmute your line one by one and ask questions. Please go ahead with your questions.
Yeah, no boss. I hear. Good morning.
Good morning.
In this course, are we going to cover enhancing the SAP Fiori and all standard applications? Are we going to cover that enhancing part of the standard application Fioris?
Okay, that is something which is advanced Fiori course. So if you go to our website, you will find a couple of modules like advanced Fiori. So it's actually advanced Fiori, Fiori consultants training, where we will cover about Launchpad, Group, Fiori security, WebID full stack features, OPA 5, Q unit, J unit, then extending Fiori app, view replacement, view enhancement, controller enhancement, component preload.js, build tool, prototyping, OPA 5, one-page acceptance test for SAP UI5, the Chi builds, the Grunt.js integration, the Node.js integration, all of that, theming experience, custom themes, custom groups, custom catalogs, creating launchpad tiles, static tiles, group tiles, creating the roles, assigning the roles, managing the OData service authentication, extending the OData services which are delivered by SAP Fiori app reference library. All of this is a completely dedicated course, and that's
Okay, so it is a separate session, right?
sorry,
I mean, it is a separate course.
separate
Am I
module.
correct?
Yes, it is, because
Module.
it's again 52 hours of
Okay.
course, which I cannot, publish everything together in all 100 hours. So somebody who is claiming they are covering everything in one course, they are cheating with you, because it's not possible to cover complete set of topic. Then they are compromising on the quality and the content which they are delivering it to you. Are you getting
Okay,
this point?
in our course, yeah, I got it. In our course, there it was mentioned that about the Fiori, right? What are the things in Fiori, what are the kind of things you are going to be covered?
So in this course, we will cover about MVC architecture. We cover about manifest, component JS, OData integration, models, variety of models, data bindings, element binding, attribute binding, aggregation binding, and property binding. We'll talk about integration with OData service, performing all the CRUD operations, creating master detail application using the templates in WebID also, and then building an end-to-end application using fragment formatter, the routing concept, the route match handler concept, writing the manifest, writing the component JS, what is the use of it, using libraries, understanding MVC, all of this we will cover. You can check the course content for more details. So without understanding the structure, project structure, best practices, gold standards, and creating a Fiori app from scratch, how would you extend a Fiori app? Because
Yes,
to
yes, yes.
understand a Fiori app, you need to know these concepts.
Yes, yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Next question,
Yeah,
please.
hi, Anubhav, Prabhakar here.
Hi, Prabhakar.
Yeah, Anubhav. So I just wanted to know, we are not working on Eclipse, right? Yeah. Or,
No, Eclipse, nobody is using Eclipse in real industry. We will not be using Eclipse anymore. Those who are still confused that my company is using Eclipse and they're forcing me, please watch this video on learning series, Eclipse versus WebID, what to use and what to not use and why to not use Eclipse. This is one presentation I've created on demand of one of my student who was very much confused, and he wanted to give a presentation to their management to convince them we should use WebID. So you can go to Anubhav Learning Series. You can go here and check this video. There's a free PPT
okay.
which is a detailed comparison about WebID versus Eclipse. Why you should not use Eclipse for UI5 development.
Okay, so we do not need to start with Eclipse at all.
No
I
way.
mean,
No way.
okay. Okay, thanks. That was a doubt. So thanks. Thanks.
Hi, Anubhav. This is Nageshwar.
Yeah, hi, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. So regarding the server installation means real-time hands-on practice. So you are going to provide any server or how it will be?
Okay, so you can see all of these questions are anyway answered here in FAQs on our website. However, just I will quickly repeat for server. We don't need server for first three phases of our course, which means 80% of our course we don't need server. Now you may be surprised about how do you then show the data integration. We will use something called JSON model. With that, we will create local data sets to demonstrate and work with our app without any backend connectivity. In the last phase of our course, we need backend connectivity. For that, you can use your company server. However, those who don't have a company server or they don't want to use their company server, we offer also an S4HANA 1809 fully activated appliance server access at 2.5K INR per month per user. So you can subscribe that additionally, but you can take that server today also. But I don't think it's of use. So I will save a lot of your money. When the right time comes, when the server is needed, only then I will ask you to pay for the server. I will also show you, demonstrate you the options which we have for server access. All of that I will explain you. So at least you will save a lot of cost. So don't worry about server. We do have also server with us. If you want, we can arrange it. For that, you can see here, there's a nice video also I put it. So you can just go through this video and understand more in detail.
Okay, okay, yeah. Thank you.
Any other?
Hi, Anbo. This is Praveen.
Yeah, hi Praveen.
Actually, there is a graphical reports also for SAP UI5, right? So that will be covered in this course, or it will be in the advanced?
That is covered in ABAP on HANA course. So you might, yeah, I think you might be talking about OVP based application like this.
Yes.
So this is called an overview page application. It's covered
Mhm.
using annotation concept as part of SAP S4HANA training, ABAP on HANA and S4HANA training, because here we need annotation at CDS level. So we need to understand concept of CDS views, AMDPs, ADBC, and then we will create a smart filter Fiori apps and OVP based apps on top of it. So that needs annotation concept. Some part of it is covered here and some part of it is covered in advanced Fiori. So there are multiple ways to create this kind of apps. One is CDS based annotation and one is UI based annotation. So UI based annotation approach is covered in advanced Fiori, but CDS based annotation is covered in this ABAP on HANA training. That's why I always mention to my students, to become an end-to-end developer, you must complete these three courses in 6 month time. In these 6 months
Okay.
of time, you must complete these three courses end to end, and that will make you an architect in your company. 100% guarantee. Next 10 year of your career is set. I can challenge, I can bet you next 10 year of your career, nobody can touch you in any company, any project you go. You are the champion there in that project.
So what is the sequence we have to take in these courses?
So first one, this one. Second
Mm-hmm.
should be either you can go with this path, advanced Fiori, and then
Mm-hmm.
third could be ABAP on HANA. Some people,
Okay.
they also go with first this one, second ABAP
Mm-hmm.
on HANA, and then the third one will be the Fiori Advanced. This is how some people takes, which is also good, no problem. I have no problem in that. But it is depending on your need. You want to grow first on the UI technology side, bigger. You want to get into more on a UI role first, and then want to get in on the backend and middleware role. Then you can go with 1, 3, 2. Otherwise, you can go 1, 2, 3 also in a normal mode.
Okay.
But all the knowledge required to learn all these things is under one single roof available in same style of training. You can check Quora, you can check LinkedIn, you can check YouTube channel of mine for the feedbacks. I have already shared some success stories, and I'm sure many of you here will also repeat, but don't panic. What is the biggest problem is taking the decision, delaying the decision. Okay, delaying the decision. कल पढ़ूंगा, कल पढ़ूंगा, कल पढ़ूंगा, वो कल कभी नहीं आता है. That delaying, see guys, you're delaying a decision which means that is also decision which you are taking. And this is what very unfortunate. I tell you one quick story of a student. He joined my demo session in the month of January, and then he did not join the course. We never reply back to anybody. You will see today also after the class, you will not get a single email from us. We never rush behind students. It's up to you whether you are serious about your career. We only give training to the people who are themselves interested and serious about the training. If they are not, then we never rush. We never send an email again back to you. Please take my course. Please take my course. We never do that. So that guy has decided to take the course, and he's joined the demo session. He communicated with me for about 1 week. So during that time, he did not get also the course because he was kind of lagging in now. He's just communicating, thinking, and 1 week passed. And then he said, "Now, Anubhav, 1 week passed now. I already missed 5 classes. What to do?" I said, "Now I can't help you. I cannot take dedicated classes for you. If you want to join, you have to watch the videos of missed class, and remaining classes you can come." He said, "Anubhav, no, then I will join next batch." I said, "Fine, no problem." Then suddenly he got a project. And this project, there was a client interview also planned. He came to me one suddenly night, 11 o'clock, he calls me. He sent me a WhatsApp message and I did not reply because I was sleeping. Next day morning, again he calls, again he message, again he email, all the possible channel. He sent me a LinkedIn message. Anubhav, I am getting a project. Anubhav, I am getting a project. Please help me. Please help me. I said, I told you, I came to you that time to help you. You did not took a charge of your career. Which manager will take care of your career? It's you who has to take care of your career. No manager, no company will take care of you. Company will just get the work done. They will not take care of your career. They're not in charge of your career. It's you who is in charge of your career. So he then said, Anubhav, now I want to start with videos. But I have an interview next week, Monday. Can you prepare me for interview? Sorry, I cannot give time. It's your bad decision which you did not take on time, and you're asking me to support you now for your interview. I cannot help you. And then he said, then I will not take course. I said, no problem. Goodbye. He could not get through the interview, of course, natural, because he don't have the knowledge. His friend who joined my course has gotten into interview and now working in Melbourne. And this guy is still thinking whether to take or not. So that's what is the difference, guys. You need to take a charge of your career at the right time. Honestly speaking, right time was yesterday. You already missed one chance. This is my 23rd batch. This is my 23rd batch of UI5. You already missed the train. It's already you are delayed. There are many consultants who learned, who placed themselves in a good project and already went. If you want to beat them, you should really pick up the urgency. Understand the urgency here, and you should start it right away without even a single thought. Otherwise, you keep on thinking for next 2 more years. So by that time, no opportunity left out for you in the market. Market is almost saturated. And then you start learning, it will be a big problem. See, understand it's a market. There's one clothes shop, one apparel shop. Everybody goes to that apparel guy. Now this guy is making a good profit. Another person look at this guy, hey, this guy is making a good profit. Why not we also open an apparel shop? Another guy also opens another apparel shop. Then third guy, fourth guy, fifth guy. And then market is saturated. Margins are gone. Who will give you a good package? How do you get a good opportunity? That's something you have to think out. When you want to enter in the technology, when the market is saturated, like already for BI, BO, CRM, BSP, WebDin Pro. Market is saturated. There are a lot of consultant, ABAP developer ready to work in $7,000. That's the situation. Java developer ready to work in $4,000 a month. That's the situation. What to do? Market is saturated. So you need to decide when you want to enter in the market, when it is saturated and when it is hot. Because when it is hot, you can find a good pathway. You take it into a good project and leave this current profile where you are, where there is no growth. Because before you run the roadblock, it's better to change your road yourself. That's the only thought which I have. Rest all choice is yours. The lines are open. You have YouTube, you have a lot of channels to learn. Do either self-learning, no need of a trainer, you do self-learning, or do learn from somebody. But my request will be, please learn. That's more important. Next question, please.
So all the 3 courses will be taught by you?
Yes.
Anubhav?
In fact, all
Okay,
these
that's
courses are covered by me.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So all of these, you will get everything, whatever you need.
Oh,
I have everything for you. Every possible application which you see today in your company, every possible combination or landscape or system you see in your company, I have a course for that.
okay. That's great. So, by any chance, if we miss the 1 day or 2 day classes, so do we
Okay,
have?
I wanted to also show you this. There is a training block which you will get an access. It's a self-service. I'll just show you the one which is completed already. So here you see,
Okay.
every day when we have a class, we will record the class, like today's one. And we will post these recordings right away in the training blog. And you guys can go and watch it 24/7 anytime, n number of times. Okay, you see here.
Okay.
So here we have posted all the training videos of my last batch. So somebody who's in a hurry, you want to also take video mode of training, no problem, you can do that. So you see,
So for example, if I join for this class, if I want to see the previous recordings like you are showing, can we see them?
yes, you
Okay,
can.
that's great.
Yeah, but understand one thing, you cannot at same time join 2 batches, like the already completed one, which with video, and the current one with the live. You cannot do that. You are in hurry,
Okay.
go with video mode of training, learn through videos, ask it out via emails, and that's it.
Okay.
For live mode, this one which we started today, attend regular classes. After the class, you anyway get the video of the class.
Okay. Okay.
So that
Okay. So I thought, okay, got it.
Hi, Anubhav.
Hi. Hi, sir.
Yeah. So, if you want to take 2 courses parallelly, what is the option?
You can take, but my recommendation, because I'm not interested in selling courses, guys. My main motto is for you to learn things. Because if you take 2 courses, it's too much of burden for you.
Okay.
So my humble request to not buy multiple courses at one shot.
So one by one is better, right?
One by one
finish.
See, guys, I am not here to sell my stuff. Because anyway, I already have a lot of popularity on YouTube. I don't need to create a story around it. But I would better recommend you the right way, because you guys are also smart enough to judge who is right, who is wrong. That you have that consciousness. You have grown in your career pretty well, so you have that consciousness with you. I do not need to make stories about it. So my personal recommendation: don't buy multiple courses in one shot. I'm not going anywhere. I will be there with you lifetime, but please take one by one. Then only it will make an impact on you. That's my guidance. Still, those who want it, go ahead, no problem. You can. But my recommendation is to take one by one, not take everything in one shot.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
So you will also find the class schedule in the training blog here. You see here, this one was completed, and you will see here the calendar invites on the basis of regular basis. You can join the class based on those invites. So all those invites will be available in class schedule. So there you can go, click on the calendar invite, you get the link. With that link, you can regularly join the class. However, 30 minutes before the class, you also get a calendar reminder from Google. about the class. So with that link, you will join the class. So with that, thank you so much for taking your time, guys, and being here today present for virtually for the session. And I hope most of you get the good direction in your life for your future career prospects. Stay tuned. Please watch my YouTube channel. There are a lot of free videos also there which are coming up on different things, advanced things. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will not cover HANA BODS here. We are not actually HANA administrator, we are core developers. So we will be building the Ui5 application. We will not cover BODS in this course. And in fact, HANA modeling is covered in my ABAP on HANA course. You can join that course free. If you're interested on HANA modeling, then ABAP on HANA is the right course for you. Okay, so will you give us the user ID password for pre-recorded? So we will give that. So once you subscribe, you will get everything, every details on your email ID. It's an automated process. So you can contact Meenakshi now to get the course access, and then we can get started. Thank you so much once again. See you. Goodbye.
Thanks, sir.